Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a Nintendo Switch Lite which has been sent in, and this has been sent in because apparently it's got no display. So we're going to take a look, hopefully get this fixed and get it back to the customer working. But if you are new to the channel and you like this type of content, I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe, stop being a meanie and turn on the bell notifications so that you're notified whenever I upload. Someone said to me earlier that if they use an ad blocker, then they're not being a meanie because they can't press that button because they use an ad blocker. You're still a meanie. The least you could do is subscribe. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into this repair. Rightio. So apparently this has got no display. This has got a custom case on it. So I do kind of like the see-through case, although it kind of gets a little bit dirty, doesn't it? And it also looks like it's had a replacement charge port, and the replacement charge port doesn't fit. So someone's messed with this since the mod was done. We're also missing all of the screws. Alright, well, let's just see what's happening with it. So I'm going to plug it into a charger. And this is called a USB ammeter. What this is going to do is it's going to tell me what's going on with the system based on what kind of current is being drawn from the charger. So I've got this plugged into a 20 volt plug. It's a U-green plug and it's got USB-C power delivery. So basically it will draw what it needs to. So as long as the charging circuit is working, this will talk to the charger and it will tell the charger that it needs 15 volts. And then it'll put out 15 volts. So it's basically compatible with all USB-C devices. So let's just plug this in. Okay, and it is detecting 15 volts. 0.07 amps. That is a very dead battery. I'm assuming that is a very dead battery. So what seems to be happening here then is the battery's completely dead, but we should see a charging symbol in the top left hand corner, and we're not. So is this just a display issue? I don't know. That's a solid 0.07 amps right now. So let's see if that bumps up. I'm going to unplug it for a minute because I want to take this case off. But while I'm just taking it apart and getting inside, I do want to just see if it does start to take a charge or not. So yeah, it looks like, okay, that's not drawing any current now. Okay, that's odd. 0.05. No, it's not recognizing a battery. Okay, that's not detecting the battery. So what's happening here is, yes, it's probably got a display. It might still have a display issue. That's the wrong screwdriver. It might still have a display issue, but it's also not detecting the battery, which is rather weird. That's the wrong screw. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dearie me. This is going to be bad. This is going to be really, really bad. I just know it is. Ah, well, there's your battery issue right there. There's your battery issue. So this has had a replacement port and they haven't modified the port. 0.6 amps. Okay, I'm getting sound. Which one's the volume? That one. Okay, so it is no display. So it's turning on, but we've got no display. Okay. So that looks to me like the LCD connector has been changed. That's been replaced, and I know that because those solder joints are really shiny. So that LCD connector has been replaced. Someone has attempted to repair this. Now, whether they've actually done it correctly, I don't know. So I'll get this apart. That's that looks like old paste, but it should be new. So I'm really not sure who's done this port, but it's definitely been somewhere else. These are... How is there so many replacement screws? Because these are not original screws. They're not genuine screws. So how are there so many replacement screws here? But these are not even coming out properly. Is this a home repair? I don't know. But it don't look good, does it? I mean, even the mods, like purple and yellow, come on. Purple and grey, okay, fine. Do purple and grey. Don't do purple and yellow. It's not going to work. I honestly don't know what else to expect with this. I'm kind of glad I started filming. But at some point as well, this is why you've got so many missing screws, look. The wrong screws. But these screws, these silver screws, like that's not even biting. I'm surprised those shoulder buttons ever worked. It's not even biting with the board. Like, come on. If you don't know where the screws go, take a picture. But they're not the right screws at all. This is probably the worst modded switch I've ever come across. I'm going to be honest. Probably the worst modded switch I've come across. Okay, so here's the LCD connector. Now let's take a look inside. And I think it's damaged. Yeah, it's damaged. Yep, someone's damaged the connector. Well, that's rather silly, isn't it? So what I'm looking at here then is a couple of pins sort of, well, close to the middle. So we've got a couple of pins here, a couple of pins here, and then, well, basically a row of pins there. And all of these pins are basically damaged. This LCD connector is going to need replacing. And the sad reality is, a lot of the time when we get damage like this to the connector and someone continues to try and plug it in, not only does it damage the connector more, it also damages this baby here. This is the LCD driver. So what this chip here is responsible for is basically powering the LCD. It's the power management IC for the LCD driver. And a lot of the time it does blow that. And also it damages the LCD ribbon, which is kind of what I'm observing here. So just, well, we've got a scratch here because someone's thought it's funny to mess around and try and get it in. But you can see here where the damage really is, and it kind of looks cracked, doesn't it? So we may have to change this LCD. We've got some exposure here. We've got what looks to be like a crack down here. So yeah, this LCD might be toast, and all because of this ribbon cable being damaged. Whereas the LCD itself is probably fine. Even on the back, they've kind of stabbed through it. Whoever's had this apart has just literally gone to town on it. Not only that, but the port, This port is shocking. That is shocking. So I can fix the fact that it's sticking out of the case, but yeah, look at it. Like, what you need to do with these is, number one, not use so much heat because you're singeing the crap out of it, and that's why this isn't working properly. But you also need to Dremel this entire edge of the port, all of it. You need to Dremel a lot, and you need to bring it almost flush with this line here. So all of this here to the end of my very dirty nail, or it looks very dirty underneath the microscope. You need to bring it to the end of the nail, all the way around the port, and only then will it sit flat inside the case. Because the Nintendo Switch, the port, well, the entire console is slimmer, and the port, as a byproduct, is also slimmer. So yeah, someone's definitely not doing a good job here. This is just terrible, absolutely shocking. They've melted the crap out of this connector here. So honestly, I'm going to be surprised if even the backlight works. They've been poking and prodding around this backlight driver, this little IC here. But that's, well, that's just, you know, a bit of paint on the chip, but hopefully it's not damaged it. But you can see they've knocked half the stuff off. That diode is slanted as well. It doesn't look like they've messed around the LCD driver. Has any of this been messed with? No, that looks fairly factory. Even the fuse has been singed. They haven't cleaned it up properly. But this is just a terrible job. Like, a really, really bad job. This is the kind of stuff that gives us technicians a bad name. It really is. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. Like, how do you get flux around here? Like, how do you get flux around this chip here? This is in the centre of the board, on the other side of the board. How does that happen? Like, that's a big power management IC. That is critical to all functionality of the device. Like, how do you do this? Alright. Enough whining from me. Let's get this connector off. Let's focus on the connector first. So the worst thing is, this connector's been replaced already. Like, that solder is not factory. Let's just add a bit of flux. And I've got my hot air set at 480 degrees Celsius. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to basically melt this port off. Well, actually, let's see if I can show you how to do this from the top of the board without actually melting it. So you'll notice here I'm waving my hot air wand backwards and forwards. You watch it melt now, the one time I'm trying to show people how to do it. So my airflow is constantly moving. No, it's not going to work. It's close. Nah, it's close, but it's not going to work. See how the solder's gone shiny? It's going to melt though. It was so close. It was so close. But yeah, essentially that would be how you work around a plastic connector without damaging it. I mean, yeah, I find that one's damaged, but only because I let it, right? It was very close to coming off. It was very close to coming off. But you basically just keep your airflow moving, and you won't melt the connector. And that's how you're meant to deal with the port. Anyone want an almost new connector? £5? No? Alright. let's just clean this up. But yeah, that's pretty much how you deal with the connector if you want to do it from above the board. So what I would normally suggest is doing it from underneath, but you don't have to do it from underneath. You could technically work with it from above. And that's how people like Jason from STS Telecom and Jessa from iPad Rehab work with FPC connectors for iPhones. Highly recommend checking those guys out, by the way, on YouTube if you're into any kind of repair content. So that's clean. So I'm going to need to get a donor board so as I can salvage a connector from it. So the way I'm going to deal with this, I'm not going to add any flux. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the hot air. I've got my solder, which is weighing down the board. But I'm just going to use hot air on its own, no flux. And I'm going to remove this connector from underneath the board. So I'm going to basically heat up just off camera here. I'm going to heat up from underneath the board. And it's going to desolder. The heat is going to basically transfer through. And the reason for that is because, yes, I've just said that you can technically do it without doing it from underneath, but I don't want any chance of damaging this connector because I've probably got 2 boards or 3 boards at the most that I've got this connector on, and I'm waiting for a delivery from AliExpress. So with my hot air at 480 degrees Celsius still, I'm going to heat up from underneath. And just every so often I'm just going to come in and just give the connector a little bit of a tap and just check to see if it's ready. It shouldn't take too long. These are very thin boards. There we go. So that's ready. Notice how I moved the heat away from the connector before I moved it this way. I don't want to risk it at all. I did end up taking a cap off there, but that's fine. This is a donor board. So now I am going to add some flux. And then I'm just going to tin these solder joints with some leaded solder just to freshen up those joints. But judging by how shiny those joints are, that looks like leaded solder already. So I think someone has already changed this connector once. Maybe they've changed it and they've ended up damaging it. It's very possible that the LCD that's on it has damaged it for a second time because of damage on the actual LCD, on the ribbon itself. Okay, there's that done. So that's pre-tinned with leaded solder, and like I said, I do have this connector stuck here, this capacitor stuck here. Just pull that away, make sure I don't damage it. Look at how small that is. Absolutely tiny. So now I just want to get this positioned. Doesn't have to be perfectly positioned, by the way. Damn it, that I didn't want to do. Didn't want to end up dropping it on its back sort of thing, or on the top, because now I've got to clean all of the flux out of it, which is nice. I'll get that roughly in line. Let's just check the positioning. See, that's slightly out of line. So very, very gently just going to tap that into line. And there we go. Excellent. So that's pretty close to being dead on. So what I'll do now is I'll just do the exact same process again. Just weigh that board down first. But do the exact same process again, but this time to just solder it on. So heat up from the bottom. And it's not going to take long. So I'm just going to heat up from the bottom. And you're going to see this connector drop down as it starts to bond and become one with the solder. So the flux should start bubbling, and then any second now. And then pretty soon this should drop down. Yeah, you might not see it drop down because there's not much flux there. Whoops. I think we need some more flux on there for surface tension to actually do its thing. So now we should see some magic happen. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go. Whoops, I knocked the microscope then. So once that's settled a little bit, I'm going to clean up while the board is still hot. So with the board still warm, this flux is going to clean up easier. I need to work pretty quick because I do need to clean up inside the connector as well. So I'm just going to open that up. And again, while it's still warm, I'm going to take a toothbrush and very gently just flood the connector with IPA. The IPA is sizzling, which is a good thing because that means that the board's still hot enough. So I don't want the flux to go sticky and end up getting stuck inside the connector. It wouldn't be the end of the world. I would just be able to reheat the board, but I want to avoid that if at all possible. So now I'll just open and close the latch a few times and that'll push the flux out. Awesome. That'll do. And there we go. So that should be ready now. I do need to test it with this housing, but I have just confirmed that I've got a screen for one of these. So if I need it, then I can replace the screen. But I've got a feeling that we're not going to get any display on this, to be honest. Oh, we've got display. Okay, now that is a surprise. But there we go, we've got a display. Alright, that's fantastic. So, we've got a display there. Fantastic. I do still need to tackle this charge port issue. Now, I can't really risk taking this back out again. I'm going to put it to the customer that they're going to need a new screen. If they ever take this board out again, I will give them the option for me to do it while I've got the console apart. However, I can't just change the screen because it's technically working. But that definitely won't go back in there again if this is taken apart again. And next time they are going to need a new screen. And if it comes back to me again and I have to take it apart for any reason, then I can't really be responsible for the screen if I warn the customer first. Ah. The speaker's actually damaged. I'm going to have to get a replacement. Damn it. That's me that's done that. I've melted that like a dickhead. I left it connected. The heat's travelled. I'm such an idiot. Alrighty, so it's actually the next day. I couldn't find a speaker last night, but kablam! I've got one now. So like a fool, I broke this. So, yeah, I forgot to move this out of the way while I was doing the LCD connector, which is fine. I've got loads of these. I just had to find my box with them in. So, I've got a replacement here, which I'm going to use now. As you can see, nice and fresh. And it's all good. So, yeah. Let's get this video finished, shall we? So, yeah, I couldn't find a replacement speaker last night, and it was quite late. So, you know, it was like 2:30 in the morning. So, I just decided to end the video, well, pause the video and carry on with it today. I mean, these consoles don't go back to the business that sent them till tomorrow anyway. They'll get sent back as a bulk. So, it wasn't really that important. And I've only got one more to do after this, ready for tomorrow, which I'm going to be doing on a live stream later. If you didn't know, I do live stream Mondays and Fridays around about 9 PM UK time. So, I would love to see you there, maybe. Usually around about the same time as I post videos. But yeah, there we go. That is done. And we're going to pop that there. There we go. And boom. Yep. Cool. There we go. Right, so I am going to put the correct screws inside here. I'm probably going to have to replace half the screws in here because I can't send this back with the wrong screws in the wrong places. It's just not how I do things. Alright. That screw is not going to go back in because the thread is knackered. Nothing I can do about that one. But yeah, let's just get this sorted. I've just remembered I've got to do the USB-C port as well. I can't send it back with the USB port not sitting flush. So let's get some fresh thermal pasta on here. This is, of course, the best damn thermal pasta money can buy. And it's all mine. This is MX4, by the way. It's not some cheap stuff. It's just MX4 bundled into a big tube. So what I need to do here is just Dremel this port away so as it's flush with the board. Because this is the port from a Nintendo Switch original. And like I said earlier, the Nintendo Switch Lite ports are smaller. Or narrower, rather. So let's get that done. Alright, there we go. So that should be flush. So what I want to do is just cut inside around the edge. And just get rid of the sharp bits so as it doesn't damage chargers. So you always get left with like a kind of like a lip, and you just have to run around with the blade carefully so as not to damage the actual port. But just run around with the blade and just shave it off. You could run around with a grinder, but you'd need a very small, thin one. Alright, that's done. So next I'm going to just clean out the port because we don't want to leave metal shards inside it. As you can see, there's shards all over my desk now. We'll clean out the port. There we go. And let's just make sure it still charges. It does. Cool. There we go. Excellent. There we go. We should be having, yep, working touch. Excellent. Let's get a test game. Cookie Mama. There we go. Thought I felt there is plastic. There is a screw loose there. What the? I thought I heard something. Where's that come from? It's not one of the ones I've put in. Anyway, just make sure it picks up Wi-Fi. It does. Picks up my network. Excellent. So I can put the plate back on now and then put the cover on and make sure it sits flush. And it should be a lot better now. That's more like it. Check that out. Slight little bulge because it's been sat bulging for a while. But yeah, check that out. Perfect. Beautiful. And just for verification, charges that side, flip it around, Charges that side. Excellent. Fantastic. Merch link in the video description. Shameless shill. Or shameless plug, whatever you want to say. But flex your muscles, not your motherboard. This is done. So, yeah, this was a bit of a mess. But, you know, we've got it working. And everything's back to normal. LCD's working. I've managed to sort out that USB port. Put all the screws in the right places. And I will find some back screws out. But, yeah, you know, it is what it is. But that being said, this job is done, and hopefully the customer is going to be happy, and hopefully they're going to treat it a little bit better next time. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you do have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. I do enjoy reading what people say, and I don't always get a chance to reply to them all, but I do read every single comment, and I really do enjoy listening to what people say. So yeah, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. It really does help me out. It makes me look a little bit more popular and make my friends like me. So, yeah. If you do want to support me, then there'll be a Patreon link in the video description. You can check that out. You can become a channel member by clicking on the join button just below this video. Or you can head over to Twitch and become a Twitch Prime subscriber. Absolutely free of charge if you've got Amazon Prime. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now.